How you guys doing today? Today is in fact Friday, and you're probably like, Friday? I thought you only do shows Sunday through Thursday. Well, no. I think what's gonna be a nice addition is a Friday and Saturday show. 'Cause now that I have some time at the home with the office being set up, what we're gonna do on Fridays, which is today. Welcome to all you newbies. If you missed any episodes Sunday through Thursday, which is totally fine if you did. If you did though, why do you hate me? So you guys missed an episode Sunday through Thursday. It's totally fine. Today I'm going to review all 36 to 40 picks that I had this week. What you're going to notice is a lot of them are still consolidating. A lot of them are still taking their time. I think 9, 10 hit price targets, which is pretty good. The other 20 to 25 are taking their time to move up. I think only 3, 4, 5 actually dipped down to where you would consider it to be a broken channel. And so if you were to blindly buy all these, you'd be up. No, not a lot. I think a lot of these plays do take their time. And again, this is a swing trading channel. You go back 2 weeks, NNOX up 70%, GRNQ up like 86%. I do have my winners, right? So it does take its sweet old time sometimes, and that's okay. So if you missed any of the episodes this week, I'm here to review every single one and how they're going to be looking into next week and into the future, and if they're still viable. This is going to be a great opportunity for you to be like, well, I like some of these picks. I was busy during the day. I didn't write them down. I didn't watch list them. Now let's go back and check them out. We can see how well they're doing. I think, again, 20 of these are still very viable into next week, if not fantastic setups. I will not call again next week. I'm going to find some new ones for you. With that being said, if you like this kind of content, like, subscribe, hit the bell notification. If you want to feed my cat, he's right here. Oh, my goodness. You make sure to subscribe so I can get him all the delicious fancy feast with gravy and cheese that he likes. That's right. He's a good boy. I also don't really ask him to be in here. He just kind of lays in here, and so here we are. He's our new mascot, right? Last thing to mention too, tomorrow I'll also be back. Tomorrow we're going to focus on sectors I want to look at and what I think may be the best sectors to buy into, and then the major indexes. Because again, I like to be a voice of reason. I think the issue is a lot of folks are like, man, the market's killing it. Let me throw my money at it. Sure, I would definitely think buying tickers right now makes a good hell of a sense. But I think also there needs to be some level of euphoria diminishing and someone saying, hey, this is really good, but let's make sure we have our stop losses set and our written plans down. And so tomorrow we're going to cover some sectors. The index is what we're looking at into next week. And again, do I know what's going to happen? Hell no, dude. I don't. Do I have a good system of making plans for you to kind of plan ahead? And you'd be like, all right, he sees this, I see that, I'm going to make a plan based off of this, up or down. Yes, I totally can help you with that. So with that being said, 35 to 40 tickers to look at really quick. I want to keep this under 30 minutes. And with that being said, let's get into it. So we have almost 4 to 5 days worth of tickers to review. And the reason I'm doing this is twofold. And again, firstly, I wanted to give you guys an insight into what I see and how I track these and why I do what I do, because I can come back 5, 10, 15, 20 days or even months later and I can still keep track of what's going on. And the second thing is, a lot of folks want me to do this and want to see what I've been up to and how I, what I'm tracking and this stuff. And if you missed any of the episodes this week, this will recap everything for you. So we got quite a lot over here, but let's go through each and every one of them. Now, not in depth, super hard, but let's check them out. The first one is BYND. Good week this week. And we can see, I called it right about here. All right, 127, 126. I said, here's our price target. I said, if it breaks this downtrend, it's going to be a good trade. It broke it. You could have made upwards of about 10% and some change. And again, you never capture the full move, so 8 to 9% makes a lot of sense. BYND right now is still a very viable trade. It came back down to our POC. It's still technically downtrending. What you're going to look for BYND, this is always a good good habit, is you want to see that we have a higher low. And so we're going to see with BYND as it pushes down and up, we want to see that it's going to have a higher low and find a bottom. This bottom needs to be higher than $123.50, preferably where the candles closed at, so 126 and some change. This can come down anywhere between now and 126 and reverse. If that happens, that's great. And then the next step is to find a higher high. If that were to happen, BYND is very viable long term. As of right now, a good purchase. You would have bought in 10% profit, chalk that up to a good call right there. DHC is still consolidating, and that's not a bad thing. If you missed the episode on last Thursday, this is still a great buy. It's right here for you. I think your support area, pretty well. I think this is probably a better one. making sense here. But even short term, look at this. Low, low, low. It's showing that it has some signs of life here. If I were to probably zoom in, I bet we could probably see some kind of, yeah, you can see some form of higher low across the board and the same resistance. So you can probably say if it breaks above 488 and holds, we have a good sign of life here. So DHC, a very viable trade moving forward. I would hope that eventually we can get to our price target area. But if you're looking for a trade in the next week, DHC, very much reliable, looking pretty good right now. EVK also has been consolidating. So we had a really up week. So it would have been sad to buy when he's not getting anything. Now I did call it over here. Now it looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. And you would have gone up, you know, about 13%, and you would have hopefully gotten a stop loss going around that point if you would have bought in. Because that's why I said our first resistance is right here. You know, I called it over here. Would have ran up, gotten close to that. You got 10% and put a stop loss, got in, got out. So moving forward, EVK still a great pickup. Very strong support area. I want to see it make some higher highs here. We can see it's kind of mixed higher lows across the board. There's, you know, lower lows, lower highs. It's okay. I like it. I think there's better choices out there given that this is a downtrend that's being held fairly well. You can see right here, this downtrend is pretty obvious. Once it breaks above this though, EVK could be a really insane play. So keep in your guys to watch this into next week. NGR did exactly what we wanted to. Now I made a whole new lesson about different time frames. So the next three you're going to have different looking charts than some other ones. But, you know, I called it over here, said it looks pretty good, and it ran up to our price target. And that was, you know, 5-6%. We only risked 1 or 2, so NJR did exactly what we wanted to, hit our price target. I think it can come back down and re-enter and do it again. So NJR moving forward, watch listed. Still a really good channel. It did what we wanted. I wouldn't buy it right now, but give it a day or two. Could be a great pickup. RCII is also still very much alive. We called it over here saying it looks pretty good. You would have ran it up. You know, got really close to the price target. You know, close. No cigar, though. Come back down, try it again. You would have hit your price target. I called it right about here. You would have hit your price target, 5.5%. You would have put a stop loss hopefully beneath, you know, 60 bucks. Gone, stopped out, gotten your money. RCII, you could probably run it all over again. Looking pretty good here. This trend line doesn't hold. If it does break down, I would get rid of it. Better options out there, but if this trend line does hold, could be monstrous next week. UMPQ, also a great pickup. We called it over here because, again, this is about 8 days ago. This is Thursday's episode. We called it over here. It's running up. All right, you know, you would have bought in when you wanted to, probably about here. You know, you're up 2 or 3%, nothing to write home about, but you're still positive. If it does come back down a little bit more, I could buy back in. I think it'd be pretty good purchase. Our price target's still a pretty good distance away. If you're in it, hold it. If you want to buy into it, wait. It's still in no man's land. Stop loss is down here. Price target's up here. You buy in 1-to-1 ratio. It's not that great here, but UMPQ moving forward, gotta watch this. That it can make some really good moves in the future. VRRM, we called it over here again 8 days ago. Would have been right about here. So when it dipped down, the next day it did run up a good amount percentage. You would have ran up about 6-7%. Our price target, again, I raised it because I was doing a lesson, would be about here. So you could have gotten close. It's running back up. Vroom in the future, again, VRRM, Ver Mobility. Need to make you guys watch this. It's still holding shape very well. You can see it's making a broadening wedge though, obviously. And so to think it may make a move of that, it's possible, but this one's probably going to break in the future. So that was all last Thursday's calls, I believe. Let's see. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So that's actually Sunday's calls. Okay. That was Sunday's calls apparently. Looking pretty good. I think these were overall positive. I think some of them are still viable. Moving forward, I'd watch just all those if you like, but looking at that last Sunday, 5, 6, 7, 8 days ago, looking pretty good. Next is ACHC. This was a good week for us, obviously, the whole way across the board. ACHC, we called it over here saying looks pretty good. You would have ran it up, almost gotten a moonshot of 7%. You got really close. If you would have put your stop loss, you know, got up here, put a smart stop loss around, like, you know, 59 bucks, 5-6%, really easy this week. ACHC, still good. I wouldn't buy now, but looking at it from now on, good stock, good ticker, really holding the shape. Once the shape breaks, I would get rid of it and find a new one, but ACHC moving forward, healthcare stock, looking really good. I'm famished. APLE, once again, price target was hit. And this is what's really great, is that we called it over here, saying looks pretty good. Ran about 4 or 5%. You're probably thinking, is it really worth my time and effort, 4 or 5%? It most certainly is if you're risking 1%, like we were. So you're risking, 0.75, 1, 2% for 5 or 6%. That makes a lot of sense. That's a 3-to-1 ratio, 2-to-1 on a bad trade. Looking pretty good here. As we can see as well, it's coming back down our loading zone. So it does come down a little bit farther and hits here and comes back up. APLE, you can play it again. It's looking really good, melting up right now, following the markets pretty well. Liked it, good trade. We got a price target. You'd love to see it. So Ckpt has monstrous hype behind it when it comes to the therapeutics company. They have price targets of almost 200 to 400% higher than where it is now. Now, I don't really buy into all the hype. I think some folks are basing that off of this spike over here, saying it's going to melt all the way up to here and then keep going. I don't see it long term, but this is still a very viable trade. We called it over here. Like, it looks pretty good. It spiked up and then it came back down. So you can see it's green, holding trend line very well here. Ckpt in the future could be a fantastic hold. If it passes all its FDA approvals, does what you want to do. You can see it's ascending very nicely, channel up, support. This one broke a little bit. That's fine. Your next support is probably right about here, and that's exactly where it's at. It can hold here, looking pretty good. I would just modify my buy-in to being about here, my stop loss here, and of course, short-term price target stays the same. You can see it's still, it's still downtrending pretty evidently. But once it gets a higher high and a higher low, Ckpt could be a fantastic trade. Make sure you watch this one. That could be huge. DRH is doing much of the same, of just consolidating sideways. And again, in a world full of people getting burned, if the worst case is it's melting sideways and you are developing a double bottom possibly and your support was a bit too high, it's not really that terrible. Adjusting it, you can see that moving forward, I'd probably have my stop loss a little bit lower if you want to buy in soon. But the problem is that this trend line has broken. It's a wedge. See how it's wedging here? This is broken. It's melted down. DRH, I like it, but again, I don't love it compared to some other. I would get rid of it. Well, it's one of our L's this week. I mean, I said buy in over here would have made some money, but overall, not too great. A good one for the week, Ktra, and I've played this multiple times. We can move this over and we can see that I called it right about here. And it's up almost 6%, some change. Plenty of room to run up still. I wouldn't sell it quite yet, but it's doing what you wanted to do. Great support area, great movement up. If it does break this resistance, keeps going, you can make 20-30% easy. So Ktra, make sure you watch list it if you want to buy in. I'm sure now is okay, but I would definitely think buying in closer to 175 is probably best. But Ktra, good trade this week. We're waiting for the price already to get hit. It's a little bit higher than most of these. But if it makes a full move up, could be beautiful. LIVN. Chef Boyer swing. There it is. This is a great play. This is called right here. This is a good trend line. And as of right now, it's up almost 10% and some change. You would have got in hopefully at the support area. Made a good move up. And again, I draw these lines because hopefully once it crosses from green into gray, you'd move your stop loss to the bottom of the gray or the top of the green. And that way, hey, I got my moonshot. Let's get in, get out. Bada boom, bada bing. Good stuff here. So it got to where you wanted it to go. You would have hopefully gotten up here and been like, I need a stop loss. Put like a 1 or 2%er right about here. Got in, got it out. But LIVN, if it does come back down, that's fine to buy in. The issue is we want to see it most likely make a move to this resistance trend line. It's a channel. So if this does come down and it kind of muddles around and moves back up, that's fine. We want to see this make a full move though. I think if you would have bought in, you'd be happy though. 10 easy %, LIVN, good call. LULU, another Chef Boyer swing John Stunkin special. We can see that I called it right about here. It's it looks pretty good, big fella. And then it moved up. So far, it's up almost, 6%? Yep, 6 and some change. You're in your price target. And again, I'm pretty good at saying price targets that are reasonable. It may start to come down here, but you would have made 6% really easily. And again, I think it's going to pull back somewhat. If it does pull back to 300, buy it again. Rinse, wash, repeat. Why bother? If it pulls back and hits this downward trend line, or now that this resistance becomes a support, it does one of these and keeps going, sell, buy back in. What do you want to do? But LULU, another good trade from us this week. Good call. Good stuff. So next is APEN. I called it right over here, and it's up almost 6% and some change. And again, I moved the price targets because I was doing another lesson with somebody. We can see it's trying to test this resistance. It may not survive, so I'd get out. But moving forward, APEN, I called it 7% up, looking pretty good this week. Could get higher over the long term pretty easily. I would definitely watch list it. It's a nice endo surgery company. I like those, looking pretty good. Next is CLNE. Now it broke the triangle that I thought was forming. And that's okay. I think I got a little bit excited with looking at it. We can see that this area though, where the support now is, in this area is a good support. If you didn't buy in, congrats, you can now. Now, if you did buy in, I'm sorry, it's still holding above our bottom stop loss. And again, I said it here for a reason. You can see it's holding pretty well here. I'm sure it has life. Long term, CLNE makes a whole lot of sense. Right now, it didn't survive what I wanted it to. But to think that you can't shift, if you're just, checking this out for the first time, that you can't shift this down here now, shift this bad boy down here a little bit, and then go from there. I think that's totally fine. It's showing, lower highs, so far lower lows right now. I'd wait, but long term, it's an energy stock. It could be really good. Right now, not what I wanted, but still looking pretty okay. Next is EXPI. Again, it's looking pretty good. I mean, these I call swing trading. It takes more than day trading. I don't buy into the hype. We can see that it is so far holding this channel pretty well and the support pretty well. I mean, I called it over here. It ran up almost 5% and now it's back down. So, it was positive. It's still not holding well. Now it's breaking this downtrending channel pretty well. And again, you got to draw your own. If it does live here and keeps going up, making higher highs, EXPI long term makes a whole lot of sense. I think there's some better options out there, but I think looking at this trend line, wherever you want to draw it, you'd be like, oh, this is the trend line right here, big fella. Whatever it is, I think it's going to be a fine trade moving forward. I think if you haven't bought it now, look too soon. It's a good pickup. I like it long term, looking pretty good. MAT did exactly what we wanted. We called it right over here, so I think it's hitting this channel, looking pretty good. Ran up, broke resistance, hit our price target, and you would have gotten out, and now we can redo it. Now, it is not holding this channel as well as you'd like, so I think that this trend line may be due to be removed and redrawn. I will say I think the support area is much clearer down here. This makes a lot more sense. So if MAT does move forward, come down, bounce, come down farther, and hits 1950 again, MAT could be another fantastic purchase. Again, trends don't last forever, and nothing lasts forever. It is what it is, right? My heart, right? So nothing lasts forever. If this does come back down, bounces and keeps going, redraw the trend line as time goes on. It could be a great pickup. Even looking at it right now, possibly that this is going to be the new trend line, developing something like this, more of this curvature, and that's okay. But MAT moving forward, watch list it. Could be a fantastic pickup in the future. It did what we wanted. Let's see if we can do it again. Next is Play Dave and Buster's. I'm still very hype on this. It is breaking the channel a little bit. It does that. Does that. That's right. So it's breaking down just a little bit. Now we did call it over here. Ran up almost, 5%. Again, I had a lot of 5% winners this week. Got close to the price target, didn't die. I'm assuming most folks who bought this would have been holding still. And it has a good chance of moving up. I think the support's holding beautifully. I think the support area, it may drop down, and that's the case. This will probably be our next support area right in this area. If it drops down and hits there, a great buy-in. They had earnings. Wasn't great. But PLAY, if it does hold and keeps moving, could be fantastic. I'm pretty hype on it as long as COVID starts moving, getting us open. Could be a great pickup for sure. SPCE, idiot. SPCE is definitely one that has a lot of hype behind it. I called it right over here, and it's still consolidating. And again, it's a watch listing swing show. Sometimes it takes 2 days, 3 days, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and it's still right here at value. I think it's safe to say that this is actually a good support area right about here. It's holding well. It's holding well. So we have, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high. That's not great, but if we can get some higher lows going and some higher highs, SPCE moving forward can be fantastic. Again, it's hype, but it has a lot of potential. I do like it a lot. So TRGP, I actually called it right about over here saying, hey, it's in channel looking pretty good here. And again, it's consolidating. A lot of my picks take a little bit longer. And just like the other ones, for the future, yeah, it's beautiful. It's a great channel up right now. It is wedging out. It's broadening. So it may not last forever, but it's definitely holding pretty well here. This is a good support area. If it does show some life, it could easily make 4 or 5% and an easy move up. So still bullish on it. I think it's a good pickup. I just think it's taking longer than I thought it was going to with the markets kind of consolidating back and forth. Could be bigger, but again, TRGP looking pretty good. Now on to Wednesday's calls. One of my favorite developing ones is BDR. And it's not very well known. I called it first over here, saying it looks pretty good. And it ran almost 13%. That was delicious. And then I called it again right down here. And so far, it would have been up almost 4%, died back down. I wouldn't sell that. I would definitely hold through it. But this trend line's holding beautifully. The support's holding beautifully. BDR moving forward. If we can get one more big spike out of it, it could be really crazy. So I like it a lot. Maybe needs another day, two, maybe a week or two. But BDR moving forward, looking really good. DVN, I've actually called twice now. I called it first over here, and now I'm calling it again over here. This support area, did it hold? No. Was it a bit high? Yeah, probably. I think a good support area is right there. Lines up a lot of good stuff over here. If this all breaks, sure, that's your next one. So it's holding up pretty well right in this area. It's holding up pretty good. If it does hold here at the bottom of this trend line, it keeps going up, it could be fantastic. So I think it also does have a lot of potential behind it. Like a lot of these plays has a lot of potential still. They have a lot of great ones that are still where you want it to be. A lot of the plays from the week before have already popped off really well. So these moving forward in next week, if we have some more green, could be really good. So DVN, called it once over here, ran up pretty well. Calling it again, it's just taking longer, but looks like it'd be a really good play nonetheless. FHB, again, much of the same. It's sitting at support still. It's consolidating for a big move, consolidating. We got to see a big one soon. The trend line is holding up fantastically. The support holding up just fine. It has plenty of potential. You know, easy 4 or 5% moving forward. FHB, watch list it. It's taking its time, but it could be a really good play nonetheless. 5 did exactly like we wanted it to do. We called it right here. It came down to our buy-in zone. It's up almost 5%, which is like, that's not a lot. Well, you can see you risk maybe 1-2%. At the bottom of this one where it came down to, you know, you're risking 2%, not bad at all. So doing exactly what we wanted to do. Ride it out. You can keep going, cowboy. If this does come down a bit farther, I'd stop loss out around this resistance area. But it's holding. First time it's holding up here for a long period of time. FIVE, make sure you watch list it. Looking really good though. NLSN, we called it right over here saying it looks pretty good, and it's already up a good, 2 or 3%. Holding, doing its thing okay. Thank you. Doing a good job so far. I think it could, easily hit that moonshot again, hit the price target pretty easily. You have, I think it's probably no man's land. You don't want to buy between your buy-in zone and your price target, but looking pretty good. Then it comes back down, you can buy back in, but it's looking okay. I like it a lot. REZI, Resi, again, it's right in our trend line still. And I called these, 2 days ago, so they're taking their time to develop. It's not going to be instantaneous. I have some that do that, some that don't. This one's looking pretty good. It's holding fairly well right here. The support holding well. Moving into next week, if this does hold here and bounces up, it could be an easy 5 or 6%. I like it. I don't love it. I want to see some green still. You can see it's definitely some form of wedging going on. So it's going to break eventually. Wedging ups always break. But REZI is looking pretty good. I like it moving into next week. SLB did in fact break our trend line. I would definitely get rid of it at this point. If I was going to play it, I want to get off a very serious support area. We're probably close to 25.61. If it does come down to about this area, it comes down, bounces, I could see some validity. You could also then be like, well, is there a trend line somewhere? I think this is kind of forcing it a little bit, right? But if it does come down, hits around here, this 25.53, if this does line up perfectly, that could be a good play. But otherwise, one of our rare losers of the week, we only had like 4 or 5 actually dip on us. The rest have held pretty well or gotten just a little bit. So, Schulenberger could be better. I guess there was some news. It didn't hold. But moving forward, if you can get down lower, could still be good. I'd watch list it, but not as much as the other ones. So it's okay. And then yesterday's plays that I called, AR, it's right where you want it. I mean, I was waiting for it to dip down today. I think a lot of tickers are going to dip today. It's right where you want it. Now this support area, again, I do call them a bit high sometimes. This is probably a fair one right there. Boom. If this does get broken, down here. Boom. Looking pretty good. But this is a pretty good one. A lot of support, a lot of price action stops in this area. This trend line's perfectly lined up. And was this an accident? No, I drew this line before. It hit this line perfectly, and now it's showing some life. So I think AR moving into next week, fantastic pickup if it holds. If so, could be really good. I do like it. AROC, it's holding our trend line once again. I called it over here. You'd be up about 2%, come down up 1%, which isn't a lot. We're not risking too much, but it's holding the trend line just fine. If it can hold this trend in the support area moving forward, has a lot of potential moving into next week. I think if we have some good highs next week and it keeps pushing, this could be fantastic. We can see it is in fact broadening out though, so the resistance trend line may become useless until what kind of pattern we have. We have a lower high. Now this is a higher high. than these two. That's a good thing. And you have, you know, higher lows across the board. Again, boop, higher low, higher low, higher low. So if this does make a move up and it gets at least higher than this area, we're looking pretty good. So AROC, I like it for next week, holding pretty well. BNED, it did show some life and then it broke down. So I think if you want to buy into it, that's fine. I don't think it's the best of the ones we have available to us. I think it's going to be a horizontal play, if anything. Maybe around the volume trend line here. Maybe if it does break down lower, the 630s make sense. Again, it's a falling knife. Give it some time. You watch the video, even say it's a falling knife. I wouldn't buy into it. Give it a day or two. Let's see what it can do. And as of right now, it's still dropping. So let's give it some time. If it does become a good value, I'll let you guys know. CRK is holding our support beautifully. It came down, showed some life, and now it's just trying to decide which way it wants to go. When you have a candle like this or like this, that means it's indecisive, right? When you have a body in the middle of two legs, so it's like two legs and a body, that shows it has no idea where it wants to go. So, you know, bulls and bears are fighting. We have no idea which way it wants to go. And as we can see, it's happening twice, and now it's a green hammer. That's good, but it's not, you know, the greatest to ever see it. So, looking pretty good. You know, lower highs right here, but we also have lower lows. It looks like a tiny bit. So, you know, I'm okay with it. I think you may be able to get a better deal, maybe closer to like, you know, $5 and some change, possibly $4.95. Anywhere in here could be a possibility if it continues. But if it does hold the support, it could be an amazing play. CRK, I've called it multiple times over here. If it does dip down to like 441, may have to mortgage my house for that one. No, I'm kidding, don't do that, right? But it may be a good play if it does dip farther, but I do like it. DraftKings, looking pretty good. I mean, it got close to the price target already, which would have been like, you know, 4 or 5%. It got close, it's coming back down. We'll see. I think long term, it makes a lot of sense. Short term, makes even more sense to get into this eventually, given the football season's coming up and the draft and all that. Then when sports gets going, it can be really crazy. So DKNG moving forward makes a whole lot of sense. I want to see some life, but I do like it quite a lot. So I bought PFSI. Cheers, boys. I'm a sucker for ascending triangles more than anything. So, some good sprinkles. So, looking at it, I bought it right about here at the support area. It looks pretty good. It dipped down. It's not holding like I wanted to hold, but if it does hold here, can easily make a good 15-17% move. So, long term, love it. Short term, I think you may get a little bit lower down, maybe even into like the 57.20s, $57 even. You could probably buy in. But moving forward, a really good pickup. I do like it a lot. RVMD doing exactly like we want. So I always say in the show, you know, it's a watch list show. I don't want to buy all these. You can see a clear support area right here developing. Right, it's an area. I keep saying it's an area. You know, it's still very viable, and it's coming right down into our purchase area. If it does get down to like $42 exactly, may have to pull the trigger for this one for sure. It's looking pretty good on this trend line. I think it could show some life first. I want to see like one big green boy take over. Every time it reverses, you get one big green boy, at least something, right? So I need one of those to really buy in. But RVMD, if this does hold and this does move forward the way I want it to, it could be fantastic. And last is SWN. So I did buy it right about here. It's like, this looks pretty good, boys. And it ran up, and I was like, let's go. And then it died. So am I overly concerned? No, not really. This is what it does. And I have a stop loss. I'm more liberal with this one. I'm probably about, you know, $4 or so. Hopefully I don't, you know, die down that far. That would be a nice 5% hit. I don't want to have that happen. But this trend line is beautiful. If it does hold here and does what I want it to, it could be fantastic. If you haven't bought SWN yet, I would certainly think that you should. If it's your kind of play, it's getting down to value. Again, not advice, just my opinion. If it does get down farther, it could be fantastic. So SWN moving forward, it makes a lot of sense. So this week was capitalized by mainly a lot of plays consolidating, waiting for their turn. If you were to go back 2 weeks ago to my video in late March, I guess would it be, March 25th to March 31st in that area, a lot of those plays have popped off. And NOX popped off beautifully. We have a bunch of these kind of plays just taking off. Looking at the watch list, we can see quite a few. GRNQ was one that we called, and it was up almost 100, yeah, 86%, looking pretty good. PRTS, we called it over here, not to make it move up almost 15%. ACB, we called a while ago. Again, it's Aurora cannabis, it's making them move up. Looking pretty good. GoPro did exactly what we wanted it to do. So we've had our wins. You know, BLD, I called a while ago, doing what you wanted it to do. GPS sounds familiar, not yet. Waiting for that to come down. BDR showing some life again. So like we have quite a few. Chewy was such a great ride. It died. So, you know, we're waiting for these to come back down. So I had quite a few good wins the last few weeks. Everything's looking pretty well. If you enjoy this kind of content, let me know. I would definitely look at some of these plays into next week for this weekend in review. Quite a few have left the station. Quite a few more are consolidating, waiting to buy in. Maybe 4 or 5 really died on us. And, you know, for calling almost 55, 60 tickers, 45 at least usually on a weekly basis, and only having 4 or 5 really die, it's pretty good. So, with that being said, if you guys need those, please let me know. Otherwise, have a good rest of your weekend. Tomorrow, I'm going to start doing a show on sectors that I like to watch for the week, and then the major indexes. And so that may be interesting to you. I think it will be interesting to a lot of people. Let me know if that sounds cool to you. Just comment down below. Otherwise, have a good rest of your Friday. Happy weekend to you. We'll see you guys next time. Thanks.